everyone, it's Nat. I'm a horse witch and welcome. If you're new here, welcome back if you're returning. Today we're gonna deviate a little bit from the tarot. I say a little bit because we got some tarot stuff in here, but I'm gonna talk about books that I've read as a beginner witch in the last 8 months. So this is gonna be a book video. I'm going to start off with books that I've started and haven't finished and go on from there. So the first book is Rebel Witch by Kellyanne Maddox. She has a channel here on YouTube. And as you can see, I'm only about a third of the way through. I started reading this on Friday, so safe to say it's pretty good. And for those of you who don't know, I am working with Kellyanne as like my spiritual advisor. So this is a great book for beginner witches. I think for me, I'm past some of it, but what Kellyanne does is really come up with out of the box ways of thinking about witchcraft and thinking about your practice as it pertains to you and making you think about it and not necessarily following tradition for the sake of tradition. So I really do recommend this book. Again, that's Rebel Witch. And the next one I've started but haven't finished because I took a little detour was Learning Their Language. This is a book by Marta Williams. Marta is a world-renowned animal communicator. And for me, I wanted to learn animal communication. However, I struggle with opening my third eye and my intuition and believing my intuition. And that's something you really have to tap into for animal communication. So this book is wonderful. I highly recommend it. But for me, I put this on pause. So I will return to this at some point. But if you want to learn animal communication, I highly recommend Marta's books. And you can't really go wrong with her books. I found it immensely useful. I've taken a few courses from Marta herself, and you can find those on her website. And I do recommend them. Another one is Psychic Witch by Matt Aron. I'm actually going to start this one over. This is one I wish what Matt would do is really take all these meditations he has in here and put them in an audio file that accompanies the book. I don't want to read this book in an audio version, but I definitely want the meditations as guided meditations in here. I'm going to start this one over because, as I mentioned before, I really struggle with my opening my third eye and my intuition. I woke up mid-sleep cycle today, so I have a bit of the brain fog, and apparently my mouth does not work. So I'm going to start this one over. I think this is a core book for beginner witches. Hi, I have Gordy under my chair. So if you're a beginner witch, I think this is a great starting point, especially if you're working on your third eye and your intuition. I have hair all over me. Is it my hair or dog hair? I honestly can't tell. Now we're going to move into books that I've completed. This one, Small Magics by H. Byron Ballard, is an amazing book. If you are new to witchcraft, I cannot recommend this book enough. Ms. Ballard is a great storyteller, and a very accomplished Appalachian folk witch. So I definitely, even if your practice isn't Appalachian folk magic, I can't stress enough how good of a witch she is and how good her books are. So definitely recommend Small Magics. Next is Wild Witchcraft by Rebecca Beyer. I actually got this on loan as an audiobook from my library, and then I bought the hard copy book because I wanted a copy of it. It was that good. Again, you have an Appalachian herbal folk witch, and I cannot recommend her enough. She's on all the socials and everything like that. This book was wonderful, and I highly recommend it to beginner witches. Next is another one that I listened to with Amanda from, I'm blanking on her, Peculiar Witch. I believe that's her YouTube channel. So I joined her Patreon for a short amount of time. And she stopped doing her Patreon. So it's not like I quit or anything. She just wanted to focus on other things in her life. I digress. This is one that I listened to on Spotify, Courtney Weber, Hecate, Goddess of Witches. And it was so good, I had to go out and buy a hard copy as well because I wanted to own it. If you are interested in Hecate, there's a third way to pronounce her name, Hecate. All of those are valid ways of saying her name, by the way. There is no like correct pronunciation. Those are all valid. I will, depending on who I'm talking to, will match whatever they say because I'm a mimic. I spend about 48 hours in the South before people think I'm from there, even though I'm staunchly Californian. So Hecate, Goddess of Witches. I cannot recommend this book enough. If you are at all interested in Hecate, if you already work with her, fabulous book. Fabulous book. It goes into great detail, and there is a whole chapter in here about Medea. And Medea is, I think, someone a lot of people identify with. She was used for her magic and her witchcraft and her power and betrayed. So I think her story, up until the point where she murders her children, is a very relatable one for women in this time and place. So highly recommend. Now we're getting into the tarot books. So those were all the witchcraft books. And as you know, I've been leaning heavily into tarot. I've read 3 tarot books and a 4th one partially. So the first one I read was Kitchen Table Tarot by Melissa Sinova. Melissa has 2 other books out, I believe. Maybe 3. Anyway, she has another tarot book where she goes more in depth, and then a kitchen table witch or magic, something like that. But Melissa is great. And this, I mean, it's called Kitchen Table Tarot, but it really feels like you're sitting across from Melissa and she's telling you about the cards and about tarot reading, etc. This isn't a more in-depth novel, not novel, but a more in-depth book about the tarot. This is very surface level, great for beginners. If you're just learning tarot, I highly recommend it. So Kitchen Table Tarot by Melissa Sinova. The next book is another very beginner book, and it is by the Barbara Moore. This book was a lot like Kitchen Table Tarot, but from Barbara Moore's perspective. So this is like sitting across the table from Barbara Moore and having her tell you about tarot. I fully enjoyed both books. I will take both or either with me when I'm reading for people because they're both excellent reference and guidebooks. Barbara Moore has obviously written a lot of guidebooks, but this is like the mother guidebook. So I highly recommend this one as well. If you ask me to choose between Kitchen Table Tarot and Your Tarot Your Way, I would tell you to jump off a cliff because I'm not doing it. I like them both and I want them both. And you're mean for trying to make me choose. The next tarot book I read was Unlocking the Tarot by Lisa Pepez. And if you don't know, Lisa has just launched her Kickstarter for Unicorn's Journey Oracle. So you should go back that. This was great. I worked through this book using my Spirit Song Tarot, and this is a book I will probably reread. If there's another tarot that I really want to work with, I will probably read this book again, maybe with a regular RWS deck. Not saying that it needs an RWS deck, but just for my own deeper understanding of the cards, that is something that I want to do. This definitely goes a little bit more in depth than Melissa's book or Barbara's book. The foreword in this book is actually by Barbara. I'm very shocked that it says foreword by Barbara Moore and not foreword by the Barbara Moore, but it is what it is. So again, that's Unlocking the Tarot by Lisa Pepez. 10 out of 10. Would buy again. If this copy got destroyed in a fire or I left it on a bus or whatever, I would repurchase it in a heartbeat. The final book I'm going to talk about is Tarot for Lightseers. So this is the in-depth guidebook by Chris Ann that goes with her Lightseers Tarot. The Lightseers Tarot does come with a guidebook, but this is the more in-depth book where she talks about the art in the cards and design choices she made and the meanings behind them, etc. I know Fairlight Tarot has done a deep dive of the Lightseers Tarot using this book, and I believe Lisa's channel is getting ready to do the same thing. I have not read this book cover to cover. I've used it more of a reference guide, and I will use this book for other decks as well. It is incredibly in-depth. It is full color. It is beautiful, and you can see how she goes into detail there. So if you own Lightseers Tarot and not this book, I'm not quite sure why, but it's fabulous. Pick it up on sale. I don't know what to tell you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I've read 11 books. We're counting it, 11 books in the last 9 or 10 months. And those are all the ones I recommend. I'm not going to name the ones I don't recommend because I just don't want to platform them. They were terrible, so why bother platforming them? I have several more. I have easily 20 to 30 books on witchcraft to read. So before I buy any more, I'm trying to read them. And as you can see, I definitely went through my tarot phase. I'm getting back into the witchcraft book phase. And that is that. So those are the books I'm reading. I've also read snippets of other books, but they've been audiobooks and I haven't finished them. So I didn't include them. It doesn't mean they're bad. It just means I'm bad at listening to audiobooks. And maybe I will include them in the next round of books. So anyway, this has been beginner witchcraft books from a beginner witch and the books I recommend. So I hope you enjoy this. Please like and subscribe. This is going to be a shorter video, but that's okay. And stay tuned for some other exciting things on my channel. I don't want to talk about them yet, but there's some stuff coming up. So I'm very excited about it. And that's all I got for today. So thank you so much for stopping by. Please like and subscribe. If you've read these books, I want to hear about it in the comments. If you liked these books, I want to hear about it in the comments. If you didn't like these books, I also want to hear about it in the comments. If you have questions on any of the books, I know I didn't talk about them in detail. Please feel free to comment or message me and I will gladly talk about them. So thank you so much and I'll see you next time. Bye.